Hi there, this is Dave H., the creator of Jambonz, and this video shows you how to get up and running for TADHack 2022, building applications with Jambonz and Cognigy.ai's low-code AI contact center environment. Two things you're going to need to do: get provisioned on the Jambonz side and get provisioned on the Cognigy side. For the Cognigy side, send me an email to daveh@jambonz.org or support@jambonz.org. And I'll go ahead and create your account on the Cognigy portal. And I'll send you some credentials to log in. On the Jambonz side, create an account for yourself going to jambonz.xyz. Maybe you already have an account. Click on register. I already have an account, so I'm going to sign in. We'll take a quick look at the portal here. This is a hosted Jambonz system that is hosted in Europe, AWS Ireland. So you're going to create a Jambonz account. You're going to have a SIP realm that you'll be prompted to create during the registration process and so forth. Now, if you're not familiar with Jambonz, Jambonz is a bring your own everything CPaaS. So that means you need to have a carrier. For my testing, I'm just going to use a Twilio Elastic SIP trunk, which is an easy and cheap solution. You bring your own speech credentials. I've configured both Google and Microsoft. You really just need one or the other, but you're free to have both. And I've got a phone number that we'll be using for testing. Last thing I need to do is create an application, a Jambonz application. When you create your account, you always get these two predefined applications for testing. What you're going to see is that we're going to create an application that's going to connect to the Cognigy bot that we create. So let's bounce over to Cognigy. Once you contact me and I give you your login credentials, you will log in and you'll see a screen like this. In Cognigy, there's the concept of agents. You can think of an agent like a project. So just go ahead and create one agent and call it TADHack 2022 or call it whatever you want. Doesn't matter. And all your work will be under that one project. Now, the first thing I'm going to suggest that you do is learn a little bit about the Cognigy environment, and they have some really outstanding online courses you can take. Take you about a couple hours, probably, no more. Go through, I think there's 4 or 6 courses. Totally recommended. Just click on Getting Started with Cognigy.ai, and you can go to something called Cognigy Academy. Log in there and go through their what they call their foundation course. And obviously it doesn't cost you any money, but this Cognigy.ai foundation course, you don't need to do all 20 lessons, but you should do at least the first 4. Is fantastic, and it will give you a real sense of the power of the Cognigy environment, and the flexibility of the Cognigy environment. Once you've done that, come back and we can create things. So I've got an agent. Under agent, we have things called flows. If you're from the voice environment, you probably think of them as call flows, and you're not far wrong. It's generally an interaction flow of some kind, because voice is only one channel within Cognigy. You've got SMS, text, you've got Facebook, you've got Alexa, you've got WhatsApp, you've got all sorts of channels that you can talk to your flows in. But let's go ahead and create a flow. In my short demo, I demoed the Chuck Norris joke bot that I had built. But let's just, from scratch, build something real simple here. Something many of us have probably done in a lot of environments. Let's build a simple echo test. So I'm going to create a new flow, call it echo. And we get our initial sort of flowchart editor, nothing in it, it's start and end. So let's do a say command. Click say. And we'll just say, please say something, and I will repeat it. Because this is nothing but a simple echo test. Okay? Now let's see, that's more or less a greeting. We only want to play it the first time. So let's have a once block to do something, have a little branch that we do something different the first time through, which is to do this. So I'm going to drag and drop that onto the first branch. The second time through, we're just going to repeat the input that the user did, whatever we recognize with the speech recognizer. So let's go here and we're just going to say again, do another say. And we'll say, you said, and then we want to insert the text that we gathered. So let me go back. I popped this up, these set of predefined tokens, by clicking on AI. And there's many of them. One is simply called text. Oops, I got that on the wrong side of things. I want to say you said text. Okay, save that. Believe it or not, we've built the Echo bot. Let's test it in chat mode first. So we go to chat and I type in any greeting. Hi. Please say something, I'll repeat it. What time is it? You said, what time is it? Okay, great. Now we want to test it in voice. Let's close that. Okay, so we've built a flow. Now we want to deploy it. So the flows are under build. To deploy it, we go under deploy and click endpoints. An endpoint is basically what I was describing as a channel before. This is a multi-channel environment, and we have different endpoints for talking to different channels. So click on create endpoint. Let's call it voice because we want to create a voice endpoint, and click on voice gateway. And by the way, you can see all the different endpoints that exist besides that. So your same bot can interact through a variety of channels, but we're going to do a voice gateway endpoint. When we deploy a voice gateway endpoint, we get this URL. It starts with WSS endpoint trail Cognigy. Just click on it. It'll copy to the clipboard. What do we do with that? We come back over to Jambonz and we add an application. Let's call it Cognigy Echo, and we paste that URL in for the calling webhook. Paste the same URL in for the calling status webhook. That's it. As usual, we can pick our speech synthesis and recognition vendors that we want to use in Jambonz, and we save it. Go down here and I take my phone number and I connect it to the application I just created. Now we're ready to test the environment or test our flow by making a call to that phone number. But while we do it, let's use their really cool live follow. Let me bring this back down to something a little more manageable. Reset the session. Click on live follow. User ID. So we want to track the session of one user ID. When we're making a voice call, the user ID will be the calling party phone number. So for instance, my phone is 1-508-308-4809. And we click Start Live Follow. So now let me get my mobile phone here. And okay, I forgot to do one thing. And let me show you, because you may make the same mistake. When I deploy the endpoint, let's go. See, we've got a red dot there, meaning it's not properly deployed. I need to pick the flow. So I'm going to get a WS URL, but I need to select the flow I want to trigger. In my case, I want it to trigger the Echo flow. So let me do that. And now I've saved it. Now I can go back to build and go back to the interaction panel, Echo. And now I should be able to properly test it.
Please say something and I will repeat it.
What time is it in your location?
You said, what time is it in your location?
Okay, so our bot is working. We can follow it along and test it in the interaction panel. We can even go into the info panel and get a lot more detail on things like the speech recognition. What time is it in your location? As we match intents with the AI engine, I haven't created any intents, but the whole NLU is a very powerful part of this that you can use. It would show you that. It shows you actually a lot of the call detail information, a lot of the custom headers that are on the SIP. Things like the confidence scores. I had a 98% confidence level. It detected my language code as ENUS and so forth. That's it. That's soup to nuts, setting up a very basic call flow in Cognigy and triggering it from Jambonz, but testing it and debugging it all within the Cognigy environment. And that is super cool for someone who's worked in voice environments for over 20 years and built many of them. You know, till now it's always been a two-step, design something one place, heavy lift to get it into some costly voice infrastructure where you can test it. Here it is, you're doing it all in one environment. Pretty fantastic.